Bestsellers. We are super excited to see you guys today. I'm a little, I wouldn't say jet lagged because it was only a 2-hour time difference, but I flew all day from Denver yesterday because I went to go to Readers Take Denver this past weekend, which was a pretty awesome experience for me, but also like a crazy experience. I don't know if you guys have heard all the stuff that happened over the weekend. So I'm really interested about that. Robert just popped in. Here he is. Hello, Robert. So let's say hi to everybody, and then we will dig in, see what everybody has been doing over the last couple of days, and get some writing sprints done. Let's start with you, Michelle. Tell us a little about you and your awesome channel.
Thank you. I'm Michelle Schusterman. My channel is Traditional Publishing Chat, Writing Blogs, and Writing Workshops. And I write middle grade and young adult novels. Thank you, Lisa.
Thanks for sharing. Thanks very much. Robert, tell us a little bit about you and your awesome channel and your awesome books.
My channel is The Story Detective, where I put various forms of storytelling under a Sherlockian microscope and break down the craft for the viewer to make their journey easier. And marching into my editing journey a little further, and seems to be going well. So I'm here to write on my own novel today.
Yay! That's awesome. I'm so glad to hear it. Hi, everybody. I'm Lisa Daly, and on my channel, we talk about how to write a book you're super proud of and get it published. I am working on final line edits for a book today, just inserting all the line edits into the finished draft. So I'm excited about that because that means I'm at the end. Yay! Yeah, and then I'm going to get started, not today, but in the next couple of days on my next hockey romance. So I'm super excited about that. Yeah. So let's say hi to some friends in the chat. I know that Lainey was with me at the Readers Take Denver event, and I wanted to talk about reading festivals. I will say I am planning to go back. My mom lives in the area, and so I thought it would be fun. And again, this is my first year, but it was a little crazy this week. Devin's here. Hello, Devin. Super glad to see you. Mary's back in Southern California. Hello, Mary. So glad to see you today. Lainey's here. Avi's here. We're super glad to see you. Miss Texas G is here. All right. So glad to see you. We got a great crowd today. Victoria's here. Hello. Maz is here. Hello, Maz. Daisy's here. Hello. Too quiet, Robert. I think you got it straight. Yeah, pull that mic in.
How is it now?
Yeah, that's better. Okay? Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
I turned up the volume a little bit.
That's good. You sort of self-corrected as you were speaking when you first came in. It was like, hello, I'm Robert. He likes to just have that man of mystery thing going. Very nice. Greetings from Michelle's live stream. Aw, ditto. It was really fun. I will say this is my favorite part about, I shouldn't say that. I have many favorite parts about readers conferences. And let me say, Readers Take Denver did have some challenges. It grew quite a bit. It went from like 800 readers to over 3,000 readers in 2 years. And that's a lot of people to deal with. And they did certainly have some growing pains. But my favorite part is is like meeting the fans and readers, meeting old fans and finding new fans, and seeing all my author buddies. And it was so nice to be able to hang out with Lainey and Renee Rose and just a bunch of Cameron Clare and just a bunch of people. Vanessa Vale drove me around because let me just tell you guys this. I grew up in Denver, so I'm familiar with the weather. And the thing about Denver is that you can wake up one day and it can be 85 degrees, and then the next day it can snow. And that's essentially what happened last week. When I went down, I came a little early because, like I said, I had family in town, and we were like out to lunch in like shorts. And then 2 days later, my car was covered in 4 inches of snow in the parking lot of the Gaylord Rockies, which has massive parking lots because it's the biggest hotel I think I've ever been in, and I've been in a lot of hotels, but huge hotel. and parking lot that just stretches on for miles with no identification, like no numbered parking lots or lot. So it's snowing. Every car is covered in snow. You can't see what any of the cars look like other than white. And I got lost, and poor Vanessa Vale like drove me around the parking lot to find my car. And then the day that I left, it was like 70. Yesterday, it was like 75 again, and it's going to be 80s the rest of the week. So welcome to Colorado, 40-degree swing for 1 week. Yeah. So love that. Oh, yeah. So I thought this was such a great idea. Lainey says, one of my big takeaways is that I need to prepare some blind date with a book packages for my next signing. So have you guys ever heard about doing this?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Right. So you just wrap up the book and you put a trope on it, like enemies to lovers, or well, it could be anything. And the readers just buy these little packages sort of sight unseen because they happen to like the trope, and they get a little surprise inside that they have a good chance.
That's so clever. I love that.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of this book and this book, buy this wrapped up book. I think that's
yeah. I think the Ripped Bodice in LA has done which is a romance bookstore, and they have done such a spectacular job with that type of marketing. I totally love that. Good morning, Doll.
Hey, Doll.
Hey.
I will say one of the things that I want to talk about today are like author swag, author tchotchkes, and sort of getting your, like, if you do reader events, what are some of the things that you should think about? Because a lot of people would go, yeah, I'd love to go to a giant signing event. And I sold we'll talk about it after the break. Oh, Victoria says, I've seen that for Banned Books Week. I think that's a fantastic idea. Yeah.
Very cool.
It's pretty cool. And I'll tell you, a lot of the people that attend these reader events, in order for it to be worth it, they have to sell quite a few books. And so it is really a great opportunity, if you ever have to either sign at one or just go to one as a reader, to just kind of go through and see what kind of marketing the other authors are doing, what their branding looks like, what kind of little tchotchkes they're giving away, what kind of fun stuff for readers they're doing. Lainey said, so many tables had the blind date packages and sold out. I had major FOMO. Love that. Doll says, I can't do reader events because geography of my audience is elsewhere, but I do have a merch store. Love it. Nice job, Doll. Very nice. Avi working on books today. Yay. I took a mental health day from remote work, so I'm planning to get some words in for my YA anime fantasy project. Writing is my therapy. Ditto, girl. Ditto. I feel like we should come up with a squash. How we have like romantasy. What's anime fantasy? And or fanime.
Yes.
I love that. Which is funny that we're doing this for Avi, because she's usually the one that does the word squishes for us.
She's about to come up with something better.
I know, right? Yeah. She probably does already have something really cool. Love that. So I had a blast. Like, even there were definitely some organizational issues and challenges and things like that, and I hate to see readers suffer in any way. So the fact that readers had some pretty long lines were that was like kind of rough to see, but hopefully they'll get those things worked out. So I think anytime you quadruple in size in the space of a year, and it's only their second year going, you're going to have a lot of growing pains for sure. So, all right. What is everybody going to be working on today? Let us know in the chat. I'm going to get that 5-minute timer up so we can start thinking about it. Robert, what are you planning on? You said you're working on your novel today?
Yeah, I'm going to get back to editing my book. It's been a few days working on other stuff, so I'm going to use the stream to dive back in.
Nice. I love that. How about you, Michelle? What are you working on today?
I am working on a ghostwriting project, outlining.
Nice. Always fun. So fantastic. Avi says, Oh, never mind. We already got that one. I am going to be, I think I mentioned this earlier. I will be working on putting line edits into my final doc for a book. And I'm super excited to be almost done. That's like the great way you go like the end. That's like a big day. And then, just like getting the last, all those little straggler things. Avi says Lisa hates to see readers suffer. Also, Lisa proceeds to keep her OTP couple away from each other by torturing them for 200 pages. Whatever do you mean? Yes, true. Victoria, my first draft of my script for classes due tonight, so I'm working on that. Awesome, love that. Let us know, you guys in the chat, what else you're working on today. In the meantime, let's go ahead and get going with our first 5-minute warm-up sprint. Let me get that up on the thing today. All right, here we go. That's weird. I wonder why it's doing that. Let's see if I can just make it big. All right, there we go. All right, everybody, let's get going. Today, we're going to do our first 5-minute warm-up sprint. You can get your document open, get your lovely glass of, I'm like sucking down like gallons of water right now because I flew yesterday, because Denver, I'm pretty sure, feels like the driest place on earth. My lips were about to crack off. And so yeah, I'm feeling quite parched. Get whatever your caffeinated or uncaffeinated beverage of choice is, and let's get some writing done. All right, everybody, here we go. We're going to get started in 3, 2, you hearing this? What? Is it just me, or is nobody else hearing the sound either?
I hear it now.
Okay. All right, we are back. Let me get rid of this banner really fast. So, let us know in the chat, you guys, what you are working on today. 5-minute warm up sprint was good, although it went really fast for me.
Very.
Good.
So, I do really want to talk about like author swag today because I started thinking about this because we all, a lot of us do like bookmarks or stickers or that kind of thing, right? And often readers really love that stuff. But I also was coming home with a very full suitcase full of, stuff. And of course, you're like when you're close to that 50-pound limit, you got to start figuring out what to eliminate.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a really good time to figure out, like, okay, how good is this swag if I'm like, oh, I can't leave without this, or yeah, I'm gonna put this in the recycle bin, right?
Yeah.
And so I was thinking about one of the things that was interesting that we had, where authors can pay to be like in the attendee bags that everybody gets.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes you think, oh, that'd be a great idea because 3,000 people are going to get a copy of my book. But
Mm-hmm.
but even in romance, there are so many sort of subgenres that your book is that you have to pay for. Obviously, you got to pay to be in the bag, and then you also have to pay for all those books. That a lot of people are not going to be necessarily your readers for of those, of that particular genre or subgenre. So I thought I really, I think a lot of times people think, oh, it'd be great to be in 3,000 book bags. But when I looked at it, I was like, there's not a book in here that like is one that I would pick up on my own.
Yeah.
And even though they all look sort of interesting, I was like, and is it like, do I have space in my suitcase for 5 more books? Answer, no, I did
No.
not. I did not. I ended up giving those all away. So, because they ran out of book bags and some folks did not get them. So, thoughts on author swag? What do you like to see? What have you given away? What about you, Michelle? You do like events for kids. Is that a thing in Kidlit?
Oh gosh, yeah. They love getting like bookmarks and stickers.
Stickers.
Okay. This has been a long time since I've done this. I used to have a giant box of swag. I do not have it anymore. But for my first book, I did bookmarks, stickers, which were huge, and this was a really good one: temporary tattoos.
Oh yeah, those
Yeah,
two.
it's like that.
Yeah. Also, adults at romance conferences apparently too. The temporary
Yeah,
tattoos are very popular. Yes, that's
and it's
true.
pretty cheap. I remember it being not any more than like the price of getting bookmarks ordered.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think bookmarks are like, obviously those are a super common
Hmm.
author swag event. And if you're doing a big reader event like Readers Take Denver, a gazillion bookmarks are like, either they're super helpful because a lot of authors will do like their whole reading list on a bookmark.
Yes.
And so that's like a nice thing to kind of tuck into the book, and that readers are likely to keep, because if you're a big reader, don't you always need a few more bookmarks? But
Yeah.
I definitely came home with a lot of them.
I
And
remember another good one.
yeah.
Sorry, this is specific to kids' books again, but a friend of mine did this and I thought it was genius. She made postcards, and the front was like, the cover and the blurb of the book, but on the back was a list of discussion questions for like parents and teachers. Like, if your kid reads this book, here's some things you can talk about after they read it to get them to like think critically about the book. I thought that was.
That is a really smart idea. That's a really smart idea. Of course, the kids are going to be like, I'm not going to show this to my mother because she'll make me answer 18 questions at dinner tonight. I love that. I think this reading questions, reading lists in general are really good to have. I thought that was really smart, especially for the series authors, that they had, here are all the different series, and here's the order of of each series to read in. I thought that was really, really smart, because then you end up with readers, they've read a couple of your books and they go, oh, I got to read this one. Or especially when they do them like little check boxes, like where you're like to check off all the books that you've read. So, yeah.
I like the idea of passing the books on that you wouldn't normally read. Um, get them into the hands of people who would like that genre, and do the writer maybe a favor. But from the comic book days, I had stuff sitting around that I never read for years, and just like every other bookshelf, you have to get rid of some things after a while, and it's like, where did the series go? What did the artist work on next? There's some things that just
Right.
never fly. So
Yeah.
it's tough.
Yeah. I did find that like the sort of like meme or kind of fun stickers that had sort of fun sayings were more popular than the ones that were specific to like the ones that were sort of just like your book cover or something like that. Because you got to think of like where are they going to put those stickers?
Mhm.
Even though you can incorporate things like your book cover into some, bigger sort of message, but I think it has to kind of stand on its own too. Ooh, Avi says author swag / merch is a major part of my writer motivation. I have Google Docs with my ideas that might have gotten out of hand. My favorite ideas is t-shirt teams for the 6 clans in my series.
Nice.
Love that. Love, love, love that. I did see a lot of like, that kind of, especially for authors that are that are pretty well known and popular. There were like a lot of, Team Edward, Team Jacob
Mhm.
kind of
Yeah,
deals, which was kind of fun.
t-shirts are a good idea. You know, bookmarks seem to be the popular thing because they're, like you said, they're lightweight and everybody
Mhm.
needs them. Has anybody in the group had like merch that came that would be lightweight and usable that's not a bookmarker? What are some interesting standout ideas?
Yeah.
That's what I'd be interested in.
Yeah, well, I will say one of the ideas that I like the most, one of the things that did make it home for me, my daughter loves to annotate her books. She's like, and this is, I think, a generational thing. Like all of her reader friends do it too. They have like whole, deal. And one of the authors in the big, like in the bag that everybody got, gave away little annotation kits. They had like a pens was like a bunch of colored pencils and then little mini sticky notes. And it was so and really nicely branded with her stuff. Although I say that, but now I can't remember who she was. But I will say I was like, "Woo, this is good." And that was one of the few things I was like, "Oh, I definitely have to bring this home." So, ooh, drink coasters seem to be in right now. I did see a number of those and I thought those were pretty cool. And let's see, Bethany, I can never remember how to say her last name. I don't remember how to say. Anyway, Bethany did a puzzle for one of her Kickstarter bonuses. Love that. Love that. This I thought was so smart. We actually did this when we did the romance in large print, or love and lust in large print Kickstarter. We did branded eyeglass cleaning cloths, which I thought was really smart because people always need that. And there are a
Right.
lot of there are a lot of people with glasses at reader events, and everybody has a phone and they all get disgusting. So yeah, I love that. Yes, 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 Melody Ann. So yeah, I love that idea. I thought it was original. It was really the only one that I saw like that. It was detailed enough where it felt like it was really something, although my guess is it probably didn't cost her a ton. I mean, it was certainly more expensive than stickers, but it, but not as expensive as like a book. I thought she did a really nice job with it. It was really beautiful. And it was like a really good way to sort of show she knew her audience.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
I like that idea too.
Atazada. I think that's right. Atazada. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Avi. Appreciate it. All right. Let's go ahead and jump into our first 20-minute sprint. But I want to talk about more author swag when we get back, because it's one of those things that, like, when you start selling books, people are like, oh, you got it. What are you going to do? What kind of swag are you doing for your book launch and things like that? And you feel this pressure, but you don't, it's hard to think of stuff
Yeah.
sometimes. So
Yeah. Sure.
I will. I did it. Well, I'll tell you guys, I was planning to do bookmarks, which I could not get printed in time. And so I ended up doing an alternate thing, which worked out amazingly well.
Nice.
So yeah, so I'll show you guys that when we come back. All right, let's go ahead and do our first 20-minute sprint.
Woo.
There we go. Yay. All right, there it is up on the clock. Let's see. Okay, so we're going to get started. Everybody take a deep breath, wiggle those fingers, grab your drink, and let's hit it. We're getting started in 3, 2, 1. You can do this.
Let's see.
All right, we are back. I hope everybody did well on that last sprint. Let's go into the comments. Heather is in today. Hello, Heather. Super glad to see you today. She's been lurking around, working on her newsletter. Very nice. Hello. Is it Mahul? Say, let us know phonetically how to say your name so that we're not mispronouncing it. I've got like a weird, crazy hair thing going here. We're just going to ignore that, pretend like it looks great. Um, hi. We're super glad to see you. I hear noise, and I'm not sure if it's from me. I think it is, actually. Sorry about that, guys. So how'd everybody do on that last sprint? Super?
Good. Yeah.
Awesome. Fantastic. Liara's here. Hello. We are super glad you are here today. Thank you all for being so patient last week while I was off traveling. Sherlock Holmes is here today.
Welcome.
Sherlock, we also have one of your biggest fans on the panel today.
Thank you.
That's true. Sherlock says, hi, I have a question. I'm writing my first book. It takes place after the nuclear apocalypse. Life and society have regrouped, and radiation levels in some places are almost non-existent. ...
We're waiting.
We're waiting. What's the question? This reminds me a little bit of I think it's a new series called Fallout.
Oh, I think Josh is watching that. Yeah, he was talking about it. Yeah.
We just started watching it. I think we only watched 2 episodes, but it's been really good. I really enjoyed it. Yeah. Sherlock, we're dying to know. Keep typing, buddy. All right, but it sounds good. Like it sounds like a good start. Oh, there we go. Everyone lives a medieval lifestyle. When should I introduce the fact that they are all anthropomorphic mice?
I was not expecting that. That's very funny.
I was not expecting that either, and I love it. Yeah. So I love the idea of not knowing this at first, but also dropping in little clues for the reader before the reveal so that when they go back, like you could have one, well, obviously I'm a romance writer, but it'd be like, this other mouse has really beautiful brown hair, right? And so, or some other, like little things that if you weren't looking for the clue that you might just attribute to humans, but that later when it comes out that these are all mice, which I love that twist. That's really fun.
That's good. That's like a good Act 1 twist. Somewhere in those first chapters. Yeah. But I like what you're saying. Or like they have pink eyes and we're just picturing, oh, well, humans in this age, like their eyes have developed as pink, but we don't, little clues like that I think would be great.
Yeah, yes, exactly. So that when the reader does make the discovery, like when you tell them that they're mice or that it becomes obvious that they are in fact mice, their brain goes back like and remembers not necessarily all those little clues, but the whole thing's going to feel very clever and they'll sort of feel like they were in on the joke. So love that. What a fun idea.
Yeah, it's cute.
Yes. Yeah. It is a little bit violent, like I live with a horror geek, so I have finally become anesthetized a little bit to that. Yeah, which in some ways is good because it 15 years ago I could have never watched Game of Thrones and I loved it, but it took me a while to like get used to like the graphic sex and the graphic violence and the fact that your favorite characters could be beheaded at any time. That's a little challenging. All right. Love that. Avi says, oh my gosh. Liara says, find 1,500 synonyms for G. Love that. That's fun. Avi says 661 words in the last sprint. Oh my gosh, that is great. I took your advice and started chapter 1 with the MC instead of chapter 4, and now everything is flowing so much better. Yay! That is awesome.
I just had an idea as those clues for the mice get in there. talking something about his tail getting longer, and you're thinking, "Oh my gosh, are humans growing tails in this reality?" And you find out it's mice.
Right. Yeah, that's it. That's the kind of stuff. Sherlock, you don't have to worry about that. We're all yeah, no, that's not so. And honestly, I know this is something that new authors often worry about, that someone will steal their idea. And the truth is, even if Robert tomorrow decided to try to write your book, it would end up being completely different. But Robert is not the kind of guy who steals other people's ideas, because he has plenty of ideas of his own,
Right.
as do the folks here. I think the bigger risk as far as having your stuff stolen is not your ideas. Although, I mean, obviously nobody wants their ideas stolen, but the bigger issue, I think, is like the actual work being lifted by pirates on Amazon, and or like Frankenstein into another book, like the copy paste Chris scandal, like that kind of thing, where they're stealing your finished work, not your ideas, because it's hard to write a book sometimes. Well, always. So yeah. Heather says, hi to Doll. Sherlock's main protagonists are personified by my grandson, my 6 children, and myself. Well, you'll be interested to know, Sherlock, that most first novels are quite autobiographical. So, and it can really help you to sort of flesh out your characters when you base them on real people, or sort of Frankenstein real people together. That's one of my favorite characterization tweaks. It's to, if a character doesn't quite feel fleshed out, to sort of, bring in some interesting traits and characteristics from people that in real life.
The interesting part of that is, when I was a little kid, my grandfather, who probably got me interested in telling stories, had a story about mice from a different reality. And a couple of the mice represented us, like me and him. And there was like this trap door that led from their reality to ours.
Oh, I love that. Or like a secret, like maybe mouse holes are just wormholes. There's kind of a fun, that could be kind of a fun thing too. I love this, Moz. You descriptions we'd associate with mice, like being twitchy or ears pricking up.
Yeah.
Yes. Love that. That's hilarious. Or maybe liking cheese. That's got to be a given. Does cheese still exist in the apocalypse world? Who knows? Or maybe they have to make some special.
It's a rarity, like gold.
Exactly. Maybe that could be it. Cheese is often yellow, so maybe gold or platinum is actually cheese in this new reality. Robert stealing ideas. Yeah. Yeah. Love that. Redwall exists, but I don't think they hide being mice. I will say, like, when I was a kid, one of my favorite books ever was, I think it was Beverly Cleary who wrote it, The Mouse and the Motorcycle. Do you remember that? Like Ralph, right? I love those books.
Yeah, I love Beverly Cleary.
I know, she's delightful. I met her a million years ago, and
wow.
Yeah, she's just exactly who you would expect. Like, she was just a lovely person. My magic system is radiation based. I love this. You've really thought this out. Yep. Love that. Nice. Very nice.
Well, keep going. Copyright everything when you get that first book in draft. That's the best way. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago, just in case there's pirating. I mean, these things don't often happen, right? But you want to protect yourself from the start.
You do. That is an excellent piece of advice, Robert, is that you want to make sure that you're registering for your copyright, which is not, it's easy and does not take very much time, but it's definitely worth it to protect your work. And it's not so much like you only need it when you need it, right? There's, it just helps you to, sort of prove that you're the creator of the work in the event that you ever needed to.
Yeah. And if anything, in my opinion, ideas are more likely to be taken by bigger companies, which I worked for, and they will take the concepts, not so much the idea, but concepts aren't copyrightable.
Right.
Use them in a slightly different way, but
corporations stealing our stuff. Maz says, oh, it's not automatic in the US. No, it's not. So there's something called poor man's copyright, which is not the same thing as registering with the Copyright Office. Essentially, that your work is copyrighted, in fact, when you put pen to paper or fingers to keyboard. The problem is that if you don't register it and there is some issue later where you have to prove that you are, in fact, the rightful copyright holder, that it's way easier to prove it if you have registered it with the Copyright Office. So that's why you want to do that.
It's easier, and it's not that expensive. I think it's like $40 or $45 at this point. And
yeah,
you know, so many things are being faked. If you take an envelope that's sealed and say, "Oh, here's my manuscript,"
right,
you know, how is the judge going to say this is definitive proof with
right.
so many scams out there these days?
Right. Yeah. The deal was, they used to say like, oh, put it in an envelope and mail it to yourself, which, it'd have to be like a box because it's like 300. But what's to say you couldn't steam open the box, put the draft in and close, you know what I mean? Register it with the Copyright Office. It doesn't take very long. It's not very expensive and it's totally worth it. So, I think you're right. Or that you may, I think it's a different process entirely. And unfortunately, I'm not familiar with it, although I should be because I have a number of books in the UK. I'll have to look that up. I usually just, because it's generally first printed in the US, that generally that offers you some protection.
I'll get some stuff that's like, save it to a disk, but also save it to maybe a cloud where it's timestamped. Different things that you can do that's going to surmount some evidence on your side, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. But in general, it's pretty rare. It's less rare for someone to like scrape your work and claim it as their own. But as far as ideas, it's way less common for someone to steal your idea. And in fact, there might be someone on the other side of the world working on a book that is similar in concept to yours. But of course, it will be really, really different because you are two different humans and they don't have your grandchildren. So
yeah. And that's the thing. We talked about that too. You can give a story to 100 different writers at the concept, that is, and it's going to be 100 different stories. And there's also the fact that it's your writing and your craft ability that's behind it. So if you write a good book, 9 out of 10 times, the other people aren't going to write the same kind of quality if you take your time and effort to do it right.
True. That's absolutely true. Avi says, I feel so important that we heard Sherlock Holmes work here first. All right, Sherlock, I love this question. We are going to answer it when we come back from our next sprint. How should I pitch this to a publisher when it's done? That's an excellent question, and we are going to talk about it when we get back. All right, here we go. I'm going to pop up the screen for our second sprint today. We're going to get started in just 3 seconds. Everybody get your little fingers ready, all warmed up. Grab your drink. Get your fingers on the keyboard. Here we go. Starting in 3, 2, 1. Let's cha-cha.
Do we have sound?
We do. Sorry about that. I like lost the window at the last second. I'm like, trying to find it. So, all right, there we go. Yes, I was like totally in the deep in there. So that was awesome. So let's say hey to Emma. Hello. We are super glad you made it here today. Sherlock Holmes is in the chat. Nice. Very nice. Thank you so much. We love that. Ooh, Miss Texas G, this is a really good question. Let's answer that when we get finished talking about Sherlock's question about how to pitch the book to a publisher when it's done. So, but I love this question, Miss Texas G. We are definitely going to get to that one.
It's one that I've crossed myself.
All right. Well, good. That sounds like a good discussion. Okay. So Sherlock, how should I pitch this to a publisher when it's done? So, Michelle, do you want to jump in on this or do you want me to just start?
Oh, you go first.
Okay. All right. I know I'll just ramble and you guys can fill in all the stuff I missed. Okay. So when you are wanting to pitch to a publisher, the way to do that is to start with an agent. And so you are going to look for a variety of agents to pitch to that represent books like yours. So when you look at your comp titles, meaning other titles that are comparable to yours, that would attract a similar audience. When you look at those, you may start to see a pattern in who represents those types of books, whether it's a specific agent or a specific agency. And one of the best ways to look for which agent is representing which book is to check out the acknowledgement sections of the book, because that's where authors always thank their agents if they're traditionally published. And another place to look is Publishers Marketplace, and they have it is a paid service, but it's a fantastic database where you can see what kind of books agents sell. You can search by what types of books, but it also tells you how many deals they've made in the last 6 months or the last year, and gives you a range for how much they sold those deals for. So maybe they sold a bazillion books, but they're only I don't know, mediocre deals. And so you have a better idea of whether or not they're going to sell your book or how successful they've been in that particular genre. So that would be my advice. And there's lots of advice on how to pitch agents. The most important thing I could tell you is be sure to follow their instructions on their website. And if they say pitch it this way, then follow their instructions, because they know how they like it and you don't want to tick them off. Michelle, Robert, jump on in.
Go ahead, Michelle. I have a longer story, and it pertains to that illustration that I can tie into this.
Okay. Ooh, nice, Robert.
Everything Lisa said is great. And I would also add that I can share the query formula if you're looking for like just specifically how to structure a pitch. In fact, while Robert answers, I'm going to go find it and paste it into the chat.
That is perfect advice. Yeah, absolutely. You want to make sure your manuscript is nicely formatted with plenty of space. I see this a lot. Now I get manuscripts that are single spaced. Don't do that to an agent. Don't. Right? Their little eyeballs will just burst into flames and fall out of their heads. Right? Double spaced, nice wide margins. Give their little
thing that really has almost becoming a peeve for me is the use of asterisks. People put them all over the place to divide scenes where a new scene begins, sometimes breaking up even passages of dialogue, and anywhere they can insert that row of asterisks. No, don't do that.
Don't do that. So if you are, and so Robert, you bring up an interesting point. Like, there is a place for that, right? If you are doing a big scene break and you plan to insert an ornamental break, that 3 asterisks will like with formatting. Sorry, lost my train of thought there. Platforms that help you format your books, such as Atticus, when you do 3 asterisks in a row, will put in an ornamental break. So when you're reading a book, usually it's fiction, and you have like a little curly Q or a hockey puck or whatever.
Yeah.
That's an ornamental break, and so that's why
3
people
is good.
that. 3,
and even 1. I mean, if you're going to do like a just a scene break on the page, just skipping down that line break of 2 or 3 lines and then starting your new scene. That break suggests that a new scene is taking place. If your new scene begins on the next page, not in the middle of a page, then those 3 asterisks or 1 at the top centered indicates that's a new scene.
Yeah.
And
I do 3 so I wouldn't have to go back and reformat it. But
Yeah.
that's just me.
I
But
have
not every place.
across the page, and that draws
No.
attention to itself.
Yeah.
That's where we get into illustrations, because if you want readers to continue with your story and not stop and take a break, you don't want them looking at illustrations. And this is something that, as an artist, I thought about a lot. But the better the illustrations, the longer they're going to take a break. And that means they could potentially put your book down. That row of asterisks all over the place draws attention to itself. And you don't want things on the page that's going to make them stop and say, oh, look at all those asterisks.
Yeah.
Look at
Illustrations, or even when they have that little symbol instead of asterisks, which is the formatter's job, not yours.
Right.
And don't do their job for them.
Right.
Make it a simple symbol, not something that's like beautiful art at the top of the page, because that's going to stop them too.
Yeah. I will say one of the, like, Miss Texas G, can you please give us an idea of like the kind of images that you're thinking about? Because I will say, I know a lot of fantasy authors that will include like map pieces, either, you know, at the beginning or the end of the book, so that the reader can sort of get an idea of like where the various kingdoms are, or what the, you know, especially with an imaginary world, you know, like sort of, you know, where the, almost like, think about this when we talked about Game of Thrones earlier. So, you know, in the beginning of the show, they had that really interesting sort of, I don't know what you'd even call it, sort of like steampunk vibe kind of things that look mechanical that become other things. Like with that, it was essentially a map, and it kind of showed you like where all the various, you know, not really kingdoms, but sort of little fiefdoms were in all the various houses, and, you know, and then the other sort of things. So you could kind of get an idea of, you know, the placement of these various places, how far apart they are, that kind of thing.
And I would also say, if you're going to put illustrations at the beginning or someplace where they're specifically going to be where the reader is going to take a break anyway, like if you divide your book into like 3 or 4 parts, and they're large parts, and maybe have an illustration in between those parts, you know,
right in between sections.
Don't have them all over the place. Put them in a place where you know they're going to probably take a break anyway, so that it's not going to hurt your narrative much.
Yeah, excuse me. I will say, especially with fantasy, that a lot of readers really love there are lots of fantasy authors that will hire artists to create art for, you know, the character art or that kind of thing that feels like readers really love. But I don't know that's something I would include in the book. But I'm dying to know what you have in mind, Miss Texas Cheese, because it could be something completely different than what we've talked about, and could be completely awesome. So, questions about images in a self-published book. It's not a definite no. It is definitely a squishy maybe. If you have a good reason to do anything, you definitely should.
Yeah, that's it. There has to be a good reason. And there's special editions of books that we know by big name authors that have illustrations, and
yes,
you know, but again, they're special editions and they're big name authors. There's not a lot of newbies that can afford artists to do that. So it's and it's probably best that they don't, unless really for a good reason.
Well, if it's good, but you would be an exception to that, right? You're already an artist, and you're quite an accomplished artist. So if you had a good reason, and honestly, like with something like Sherlock Holmes, where we have, you know, your Sherlock Holmes book, not Sherlock Holmes, our poster. Like I think because you have this unique talent, if you did, you know, a unique piece of artwork for each book, or you know what I mean, in between sections or something like that.
My initial thought.
Yeah, it could be kind of.
I've thought it several times, and yes, if there was a place that I could fit it in there,
it'd be cool.
You know,
yeah,
it could be.
Yeah, so I'm gonna vote. I vote squishy maybe for Miss Texas G. What does everybody else say?
Yeah, squishy baby.
Squishy baby. All right, fantastic. All right, let's go through some of our chat, and then we're going to hop over and do one more sprint before we have to go today. We were going to come back and talk about swag too, and I think we're going to have 6 minutes to do that when we get back, but that's okay. Dark Project got almost 400 words. Yeah, that's very nice. Super excited about that. Avi, 594 words in that sprint. Good for you. Very nice. Regina. Hello, Regina.
Hey,
Super glad to see you. Mary is off, but I'm so glad you were with us today, Mary. Thank you. The query formula, here it is. Dun, dun, dun. Character was blank until blank happened, and here's how that affects their life. Now character must blank despite blank or else blank. Right. Right. Love it. And that is really a great little formula for, especially for pitching an agent or your sort of elevator, right? Your 30-second elevator speech, where if someone says, "What's your book about?" You don't want to go, "Well, it's about, there's a guy," right? This is a really good way to just get those details down and talk about that conflict. And also really being clear on this is not only going to help you read, to write the book, but also to write things like the book description and things like that. So that's just a long
formula to a client that's having problems figuring out a pitch. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, that's really awesome. Loved. That's okay. You know, it, like a lot of times you're just looking for some the symbol to designate a scene break, and that's okay as long as you're not, as Robert said, going crazy. All right. Oh, Sherlock's originally an artist too. I will be doing my own cover art and thought about an art page for each chapter page. That could be kind of cool. Although Robert does make a good point. You never want to slow down the reader. You want to keep them up all night long, turning pages.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't have chapters in this book, so it's helpful for me to know where the new scene is also helpful for readers. So please consider chapters. It's kind of hard for them to keep up. Let's see. Also, there's something like when we're reading where, you know, that just one more chapter thing. If the book feels like it goes on forever without breaks, it makes it easier to put down. You think that it would be the opposite, but it's not. If it's in smaller chunks, then they go, well, I'll just get to this, or just one more. This is why we all say just one more page or just one more chapter, and then we read 18 more.
Yeah, that's also a good reason to follow a longer chapter with a shorter chapter, because if you get finished with a longer chapter and it ends on a certain point that you want to know what happens, and then you've got like 30 pages and you're ready to go to bed and get up the next morning for work, and it's only 3 pages or 5 pages, you're more likely to just continue reading.
I'm just going to read this then, but then you're like, I got to find out what happened next, so I'll just read one more. Yes, that's how we keep them up all night long. Some AI image of what I see my characters like, or pivotal points in the story. So just remember, as you're thinking about that, AI images cannot be copyrighted. And so there's some, and also Amazon and places like that will require, Amazon is already doing it. And I've heard rumblings, other book selling platforms are going to be doing the same thing. And that is, you're going to have to identify the fact that AI was used in the creation of the book. So just keep that in mind as you're making your decision.
I can actually see that, you know, if you had like, instead of a chapter name, you had a little illustration of the chapter so you knew who it was coming from. And that repeat image wouldn't be as distracting as a new image, because once you saw it, you would know that's the character and that's from his point of view or her point of view. So that's an interesting idea.
Yeah, definitely. All right. John H. Stevenson IV is here to ask, how good is it of a sign? It's a good sign. When you get asked to rewrite the opening. I had an agent say she connected with the query and sample, and then I rewrote and am waiting.
And he clarifies in a couple comments, he meant synopsis instead of sample. Oh, Lisa disappeared. Which is interesting. So the agent asked you to rewrite the synopsis? I've actually never heard of this. I've heard of like requesting rewrites on chapters or the draft to address like a certain plot point. So like I would like clarification. Did the agent ask like, I'm having some issues with the plot. Is there a way you can restructure the story? And that's why she wanted a new synopsis?
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Unless the synopsis was something that she was going to show to publishers and thought that there were some specific problems there that needed to be
Yeah.
worked to make it
Yeah.
more engaging.
Yeah, I would take this as a good sign because generally they're not going to ask you to rewrite unless they believe in unless they believe in what they've got. So they think, okay, I can't quite sell it the way it is, but I think if you change this, I could definitely sell it. That they're asking you to change it, not just for like, oh, I might like to read it a different way. Generally, they think, oh, you're really close, and they want you to see if you can get over the finish line. So the answer is yes, it is an excellent sign, and do a really good job on that rewrite and get it to them as quickly as you're able to.
Mhm.
That feels like a big opportunity. So congratulations, and you know what you've got coming when you've done something awesome. Here it comes. Congratulations, John. All right. Keep us informed. Let us know what's happening and go ahead and do those rewrites. All right, guys. So before we go, we have time for one more quiz. So let's do this. Okay, here we go. Clarification. She liked the query and synopsis, and then she sent me a link about how to write an opening. She was cool. Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah, that's excellent. That's really excellent. All right, let's put our timer up. We're going to do. Did I lose our? Yes, we did for some reason. Hold on, let me get. Oh, I see. I somehow got vintage paintings of sheep up on the thing. I'm not quite sure that that's what we want to write to. Let's get back to our cute little 20-minute each time. All right, here we go, everybody. Last sprint. Let's make it count. We're going to get started in 3, 2, 1. All right, we made it. Ta-da. So how'd everybody do on that last sprint? Let us know in the chat. I realized I was going to show you guys my little swag thing that I did. That was like here's why. I was completely unprepared for Readers Take Denver. I just did not have. Oh, Sorry, we've got some other weird thing going. Okay, there we go. Sorry. I was completely unprepared, and by the time I was like, okay, I got to get it together because this thing's happening in a week and a half, it was too late to order a new bookmark. And so I had to do something that I could get printed faster. And I was trying to think of something creative and end up doing postcard. Here, let me just show you guys. Let me do it. I'll just share the screen so you can see what it looked like. All right, there we go. So I ended up doing postcards because all my books are set in Sarasota and Siesta Key. I did like this greetings from Siesta Key postcard. And then I did on the back, you could actually mail it. I did like my reader magnet, a free beach read. And you can see my tagline here is romantic comedies with a vacation vibe. So sending like an actual postcard was like pretty, on brand. But here's the funny thing. I have this great group of ladies that I meet with every Friday. We all met each other when we attended the Romance Author Mastermind. And one of them said, I love postcards. I always buy them when I'm on vacation, but you can never find a stamp and you could never find a place to mail them. And so I bought stamps, little tiny big roll of postcard stamps, and a little tiny mailbox. And I gave them stamps and let them mail the postcards. And I had a giant stack in there, like a ton of people, like a lot of people were like, oh, this is so cute. I'm taking it with me. But a lot of people actually mailed like their friends postcards from right at the booth. Yeah, it was a really big success. People loved it. So yeah, it was, I could take credit for the postcards and they turned out cute, but the whole mailbox thing was somebody else's idea. And it turned out so great. I can't even, I loved it. I loved it. Awesome. Avi, 1,000 words this time, 2258. Hey, this was so awesome. Keep going, girl, because you are on fire today. Heather's still editing a post about editing. Lainey had to step away for a phone call, but the postcard is goals. You are so sweet. Lainey was in that group call when I can't even remember who it was. I can totally picture her face, and the name is escaping me at this second. Anyway, brilliant author who came up with the idea for the mailbox, and love. So you got, look, we got a little line here. Love this. So you guys are awesome. Before we go, let's go ahead and quickly say our goodbyes because we've run a couple minutes over. Robert, go ahead and do your outro, and then we will head out for today.
Well, my channel is The Story Detective, where I put various forms of storytelling under a Sherlockian microscope. Sherlock Holmes should love that one. And break down the craft for the viewer in hopes of making their journey easier. So new videos are in the works. There's just some business that I have to get through, but there's plans.
There's plans.
Plans will bear fruit soon.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Love that. That is fantastic. Michelle, tell us a little about you and your awesome channel before we leave.
All right. I'm Michelle Schusterman. I write young adult and middle grade novels. My channel is writing workshops, vlogs, and traditional publishing chat.
Thank you so much for being here today. You're so welcome. You're awesome as always. And on my channel, we talk about, I'm Lisa Daly. I write romantic comedies and nonfiction advice. And on my channel, we talk about how to write a book you're super proud of and get it published, and postcards. Anyway, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. You're fantastic. If you guys want to continue our swag discussion next week, just let us know in the chat next week. We did get a little sidetracked. We had such great questions today. So, of course, we always like to answer questions you have right this minute first. So, anyway, you guys are awesome. We love you, and we will see you next Wednesday.
Take care, everybody. Keep those keyboards clacking.
Woohoo! All right. Oh, you